Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live. I've set it up slightly differently tonight because I've done it as an event, because obviously it is a bit of an event because there's something a bit special about it. So I'm hoping everybody can find us okay, but I'll do my usual and I'll download it and upload it and do all that as well. But hopefully some of you have found me. So Linda's found me and Diane's found me. So hopefully we'll have lots of people watching as we introduce you to something exciting. So as you know, last week I didn't do a live. I did a video and I uploaded it and it kind of worked. We've sorted out why it didn't go out at 7 o'clock. Laptop's on a different time, but I will sort it. But yes, the reason was we were down south collecting something very special. Now we went in the car, so we could only collect a limited amount because we also had the dogs with us because the dogs had to go visiting. But we are very proud and excited to start stocking the hobby art stamps. Now, if you're not familiar with hobby art stamps, why not? They are beautiful stamps. Jenny started with traditional rubber, but also clear. And the artwork is amazing, and Jenny's inspiration with them is amazing, and it is great because it means I'm able to get back into my love of stamping, but with these amazing stamps that Jenny produces. So I've started, we only sort of squished the dogs a little bit and managed to get 2 big boxes of stamps in the car as well. We will be collecting more, but I chose 10 sets to begin with, and I'm launching the first 4 tonight. So I'm going to switch to the overhead camera so I can introduce you to them properly. So the ones we're going to be looking at tonight are the beautiful wolves. We also have stag and hare. We also have woodland deer, probably better up that way. And not that I'm allowed to have favourites, but this is in the wild. Okay, so you've got a pheasant, you've got a fox. I might have called him a raccoon at some point because I think he's kind of got a cheeky little face. And again, another stag, and you've got these really, really handy little sprigs of pine. So, although obviously these don't have a particular season, they may well be able to be adapted for the upcoming season, but I'm not doing that tonight. I am focusing on just playing with these amazing stamps. They are A5 in size, and when I say they're an A5 stamp set, I mean the actual stamp set is A5, not the packaging. It is the actual stamps. So that is an A5 card, and you can see the size of these stamps. Okay, so shall we make a start? Hi Jean, hi Andrea, hi Julie, hi Arwen, hi Sarah, hi Lucy, right, hi Mira, right, lots of people watching. So let's get started. So I am in my happy place, okay, because I am back to stamping. So I thought I would work with these in very sort of not traditional me way, but just literally using the stamps. I have got a couple of dies, but mainly I'm playing with the stamps. And I'm going to do one demo from each of the sets. So we are going to start with the wolf set, okay? Now, I absolutely adore that trees, and this is one of the cards I'd already done with it. I mean, the trees, forget the wolves, the trees are such a useful stamp. And then you've got, this one. I mean, that's just a very simple Christmas card. I emptied a jar of Lidl's Own Lazy Garlic, and it's a really nice square jar, and I'm thinking that has so got to be on it and become a Lumiere. So that's a plan. Kind of ran out of time because literally we went down on Wednesday, and as much as I'd love the crafting to be my full-time job, it is not my actual full-time job. There was still Yodel Man to collect loads of stuff and everything, so it was a little unfair as I didn't get to play properly. Actually, I'm going to leave that one on. Right, so let's make a start. Make sure you've not. So all I've got is I'm going to work, a lot of these are going to go straight into my journal so that I can then, well, not my journal, my little scrapbooky. I have a couple of these left if anybody's interested in them, or I will snaffle them for myself. Right, so I'm going to just start very simply. I have cut out a circle from a piece of card. We do have circle apertures and stuff like that, but I just thought for ease, I was going to cut it out of a piece of card. And then I am just coming through. Apologies, I cut it out of a very squeaky card. Very squeaky card. So I'm just inking through this. You can, of course, tape this down in place if you require. I, like to live dangerously and don't tape it down. So I'm just getting some sort of frosty colours. So I'm using Distress Inks and my one Distress Oxide, my one. Because, you don't have to just stick to, it might be my one Distress Oxide, but it is a good colour. Okay, so I'm just getting nice bit of, and sometimes people wonder, why do you add multiple colours on top of each other? Because they're sort of, losing their definition, but it adds a much better tone. It gives it a more realistic feel because you've not got one flat colour. Okay, and then I'm going to just flick some water onto that. Flickety flick, flickety flick. Okay, and then hope I remember to bring up some kitchen towel. If not, it's going to be dirty flannel. Don't look, don't look. But I just love the fact that it's going to take that colour away. And then I am using the fronds, the pine branch from the In the Wild set. So this is the nice thing. I've chosen sets that are not exclusively limited to use one set, mix and match, and this set, these ones go nicely together. And I'm just going to stamp that down there. It's just to add a little bit of sort of foreground to it. Okay, then we're going to take that away and we've got that lovely scene. Now my colouring is not great, so I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to colour per se. I am going to use a piece of grey cardboard. Now this is really cheapy cardboard, the sort like in the back of notebooks, you can see. But I just think for the wolves, it has a really ideal texture for them. It's going to fit on that. So I put my stamping platform somewhere safe. If anybody would like to try and hazard a guess as to where that somewhere safe is, I would be eternally grateful because I can't find it. I didn't have it that long ago. Right, I also treated myself for the occasion to 2 of the newer colours of VersaFine Clair. I got, this is Morning Mist and Fallen Leaves. And I just thought those colours are ideal for these sort of stamps. So I've taken the big wolf's head and I'm going to stamp him onto this grey card. And you'll see when I lift the stamp in a minute how great it is for this. I mean, it's just such a wolfy colour. And because it's really, can you hear that? It does give him a sort of a slightly sort of fluffy. I'm sure a wolf appreciates me calling him fluffy. But, the fur feel. And then I'm going to cut him out. And I just think it saves me having to do the colouring if I'm not very good. Some of them I'm more confident with, but wolves have such sort of interesting colours and patterns. I just didn't think I would do it full justice. So I thought, do you know what? And I had this bit of card. When your paper pads are laying round the wrong way? And I just thought, actually, that's pretty perfect. And if I move those out of the way, doesn't that just look really stunning? And I was just going to stick him over the circle there. So, for speed, I'm going with my glue stick. Have I missed anybody? I think everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kelly. Hello. You don't use a spray, and and let it smudge and form a pattern. Not 100%. I'll read that back in a minute. I'm not sure. I just wanted that starry effect, which is why I didn't spray it. I flicked it because I wanted that kind of star, snowflake, snow flurry kind of feel. So there we go. We've got our wolf. Now, I would possibly be tempted to colour his eyes in, just because he's got those piercing eyes. But there's our wolf done. Very simple, and obviously you can elaborate more on this. And a similar idea was I did this one, but I also used the beautiful tree stamps in it as well. And talking of the tree stamps, this is just using those and shades of, well, say shades of grey. It's the same ink pad, but I did the first generation first and then did some second generation, but moved it up a tiny bit, so it made them look like they were moving further back, but it is the exact same stamp. And then I just swiped it across and added the paw print. Okay, so there is our wolf. But I just think doing it onto the card is really quite a simple way. You like your Crafter's Companion Ultimate Pro? Been missing for years. Yeah, I tell you where it'll be. It'll be with a Fiskars Shape Boss. They disappeared and never reappeared. So that's our wolf. Shall I tear him out? No, I'll leave him in the book for now. Okay, so let's move. So I've used wolves. Let's be good and tidy. Start as we mean to go on and pop him back on the sheet. Okay, and also I should really put the acetates back with them, because I kept the acetates out so I could show you the images. Because look at them. I mean, this is a really handy one as well, just, you know, for your scene building. But that is such I mean, I really want to water stamp that one. But I say, I just ran out of time of prep, but I wanted to get something with every set. Right, moving on to, I knew I'd forget to bring them up. So I'm just going to quickly rummage underneath. I have got some fabulous strips of paper downstairs that would be ideal for the next demo, but I forgot to bring them up. So fortunately, I have my paste papers under here, and I have red and green, which is what I want. So this wasn't the papers I was planning to use. This is a bit of a, right, and scissors. So these are the paste papers that we did last week. I have no idea when. No, not last week. What did I do last week? Oh, paint. Because I didn't do it live, it really threw me. So I'm just cutting some strips. Okay. There we go. So I'm not even being overly fussy with my cutting there. I'm going to throw in that more greeny one as well. I'm going to go that this way. So I just want some strips of paper. And say I've got a lovely bag downstairs of strips of paper that were ideal for this. Went down, fed the boys their tea, and then came back up without them. It's all right, because we can make things out of anything. Right, I just want some red and green. No, a bit not red enough. You're nice and green. Let's turn them over. You're a nice green as well. Okay, just a few bits. And I'm going to just cut the white bit off so that I don't accidentally use it. So, snip. Just positioning these roughly along the back here. Don't want a massive amount. I don't want the pattern in the background to overpower my stamp. The stamp is the hero in this. So I am just now going to, it's lovely, isn't it? Yes. So I'm super excited about this. Just is it's yeah. Do you know how hard it was to limit myself to just picking up 10? So yeah, that's only because we didn't have enough room, and also Jenny needs to sort them out. But I was eyeing up boxes. Don't worry, I was eyeing up boxes. She didn't leave me unattended. Also, I had Bandit the cat watching, so he wasn't happy. She wasn't happy I was moving her boxes. It's quite quite comfortable sleeping on them. Annoying Marvin as well, which is even funnier. Right, so I've got 4 going down. I'm now going to take some bits and we're going to go across. And we're just going to do a very simple weave. Now, you can probably guess which stamp set I am going to be using with this, because I just think stags and tartan just straight away is an ideal combination. So very simple paper weaving. And I will glue these down in a minute. I just want a sort of a randomness to it. So I'm not overly thinking, apart from the fact it's not the right papers. But you can see it's starting to get that sort of tartany feel. You weave any red and green, you're going to end up with a tartan feel. So just remembering to do your over, under, over, under. And I'm also going to make it so that they're not all the same length. I want a little bit more random, a little bit fluid. And these will give me some bits to go the other way. So what did I do? I went under last time, so we're going to go over. Snip some bits off here. Nearly done. Again, this is something that you can take your time on. Once I'm happy, I will put a spot of glue on each of these. Doesn't take much to stop it falling apart, by the way. And you don't have to do over, under. You can come up with your own patterns. And also, especially if you're trying to do like a tartan effect, if you do some really skinny ones as well, they look ever so effective. Because if you think about tartan, it has those skinnier lines in them. And obviously, there are so many beautiful tartans. And the stories behind them, and you get pastel-y ones as well. So I'm just going, because in my head tartans are sort of traditionally red and green. Right, I'm happy with that. I'm now going to do a very cheaty blob of glue. You don't need to glue the whole thing, you just need to secure the ends. And don't secure them until you're happy, because you might want to space them out. You might decide that actually you like it with a bit of a white gap between them. So if you use a wet glue, you can change your mind, you see. And I have decided I quite like that little white in between. Because I never change my mind, do I, when I'm demonstrating? Never. Right, so just get this glued down. And you can also be a little bit more random with it. They don't have to go perfectly straight. It's just an illusion. It's the putting the idea of putting the idea in your mind. Because sometimes, you know, like with abstract art, you straight away know what it is because of colours or shapes, or, you know, it doesn't have to be. Right. I'll glue some more of those down in a minute, but I want to get on to the important bit, because me weaving paper was not the important bit. So we're going to use one of the stags. Now you think I'm going to go to the stag and hare set, but actually I am going to go to woodland deer, because within this set, let's just move that for a second, we have this very regal chap. I just think he's got that real... Yeah, he's standing up on a glen looking over. Very, very majestic. I also love this scene here. I'm seeing triptychs and things like that. These trees, you know, again, you don't have to use the deers, but those trees, sorry, upside down, you know, birch trees are just lovely. And, you know, so much you can do with those. But I'm going to play with that stag. Ooh, sneaky peek there, because I have cut him out. So out he comes. I'm trying to keep so organised here. This is so unnatural for me. I think it's because Jenny showed me one of her online workshops, and her table was absolutely immaculate. And I'm thinking, oh, my table's never that clean and tidy. My stuff's all over the place, and I can never find anything, do I? Right, so So I couldn't find my stamping platform. And because these are sizable stamps, I've gone to my big acrylic block, which scared me a little bit first time I did it because I'm like, big acrylic block, but actually it's fine. So I'm going with VersaFine Fallen Leaves. You could obviously use a black, but I kind of like the more natural, and I really like this Misty Morning and Fallen Leaves. And again, I am letting the paper colour in for me. So I'm just stamping this on a bit of craft paper. Obviously craft paper isn't the best stamping surface because it's a little bit sucky uppy, but I just think it gives a really lovely feel. Now I'm not going to bore you with me cutting him out. I might cut a bit of him out, but what I wanted to show was when it comes to his body, because we haven't got the full deer, if you cut straight across, it can sometimes look a little bit, pardon the obvious statement, but it looks like you've cut him off. Whereas if you actually tear it, it gives a more natural, almost sort of fluffy feel to it. And it doesn't look like you've chopped him up and you're about to mount him on the wall as a trophy. So I won't do all of the cutting out, but I'm just going to then cut him out like I did with the deer. This one's a little bit more fiddly because you've got his antlers, and also you've got the fur this side. So when it comes to the fur and you're cutting out, you can have a little bit of artistic license. You don't have to cut out every single hair if you don't want to. Just cut little snips around and it will give you the illusion that you need. Okay, so we're just gonna, and you would snip all the way around until, as if by magic, he's all cut out. Wasn't that clever? Right. If I'm missing any comments, I do apologise. I will read back in a minute. So I'm then going to have him sitting off there. And again, you could add more colour to him. Oh, this is why it's always working in a journal rather than on a card, because you can. I kind of like him that way, and then that would give you a space for your greeting. I'm not doing any greetings on these today, but that would give you a space for your greeting. Don't forget to glue your weaving down. But you also, the other reason you don't want to necessarily glue it down straight away is you might decide to move bits about, add more weight to it or whatever. When it comes to gluing something as delicate as antlers, just go slowly and work with it flat on the surface. And then we're going to add, this would actually be nice with woven ribbon. And then we've got our little deer with his tartan background. To be fair, that's quite a busy tartan. The colours I had downstairs were plain. You know, I tried to be organised. And they're in a lovely bag and they're all sorted, just not in the right place. Okay, so that is, so what have we done? We've done our wolf. So similar kind of idea in the fact that we're cutting out of coloured paper and then layering it over something bright. So they've sort of got a theme in that respect. Right, let's go to the next one. So this time I want some masking tape and I'm tearing it, and I'm going to use the straight against the straight of my book, and I am trying my hardest to get this straight against the edge, coming down here. Oh, nearly straight. And it's a bit more torn here already. So I'm just masking myself out a little panel. Okay. Right, let's get some ink going. Lid. How have I got two glues? I don't know. Don't let me loose. Right. Yeah, it's so you can. The nice thing with that weaving is you can really mix it up. So if you wanted to make that feel kind of moorland, go with greens, browns and lilac-y colours to give it that heathery feel, which obviously is another lovely location for our deer to be. I'm trying not to go down. If you are wanting to do an effect like this with a nice white border there and you're worried that you're going to get too heavy-handed and smear over the top of it, you can mask that off as well. But I'm going to attempt to be really careful and not go over the edge there. So a bit of antique linen. Let's come in with a tiny bit of peeled paint just to give it a sort of a green. And I'm making sure that I do give attention to those edges because we've created a nice torn edge by tearing our masking tape. Let's make sure we show it up. So when you're doing something like this and you've made an effort with the shape, try and make sure you don't leave any white inside. Obviously we want white around the outside because then it makes it more striking. Okay, so just getting a bit of colour down there. Right, I told you my being tidy wouldn't last. Right. Don't have favourite stamps, don't have favourite stamps. I really like this stamp. It's such a handy one for creating backgrounds like this. So, what have I got? That's a ridiculous colour. I've got an Adirondack here. And as lovely as they are, the actual pad is mildly annoying because it's hard, because the lid is hinged, it's hard to get even inking. But for this technique, it doesn't actually matter. I'm just wanting to almost create a patterned paper within here. And try really hard to go over the masking tape as well, because again, you don't want to just plonk it straight bang in the middle there because it will be obvious that you're missing those edges. So I'm just, and I will add a little bit of the misty morning mist, but I don't want to go in straight with the neat ink on it. I am going to blot some off. So I'm coming in with second generation stamping and third generation so that we're getting that. Knew that would happen. But also pay attention to your masking tape because you're going to end up creating your own washi tape. So again, stamp it off. And I want to get it into that corner there, but I am worried about accidentally stamping outside of my edge, so I'm just going to mask it off a little bit. So we've got our really interesting background. Let's take away our masking tape and keep this because it's got ink on it now, it's got interest, so I stick that to piece of acetate or piece of baking parchment or something so that I could use that later if I wanted to. And you're getting that nice edge, so it's like faux matting and layering when you use masking tape like this. There it goes. Oh, you know, we might have time for more demos here. I'm looking at my time, I'm motoring, so that's perfect. Have I got water? Yes, I've got water. So we've got a really, it's got kind of a tropical feel as well with those colours. And that's what I love about a little stamp like that. It's not to say little, it's not that little. Is it can be so many different things. Right, we want our hair next. Here he is. So we're going to take him out. and I'm going to put him on the big acrylic block. I'm also going to wipe that off, move that to one side, and this time we're going to stamp onto some book page. Okay, so we're going to go with, let's go with Fallen Leaves. So it's dark enough so that it can not overpower, I don't want to overpower, but I want it to show up against the book page writing. We are going to give him a little bit of colour as well, but it's a bit tight on the column here, so press him down. There we go. Now I want to colour him in with just a bit of inking, and I'm actually going to do it before I cut him out, because if I try and ink him when he's cut out, I'm going to accidentally tear an ear off. You know, there's going to be a disaster. So I'm going to ink him. Now hairs are more of reddy brown, so I'm going to go with tea dye, and I'm going to really cheat and just apply it all over the whole area. Doesn't matter, I'm going to cut it out, so I can go over the edge. I can, so if you're not great at colouring, this is the perfect solution. Okay, then we're going to cut him out. Now, if you're worried about cutting him out and getting his whiskers right, let me show you a little cheat. Go back to your panel that you've created. Ink up your hair again. Making particular attention to his whiskers, because this is the bit we want. Decide where he's going to go. Press him down. Again, paying particular attention to his whiskers. The outside whiskers, the ones across his chest, doesn't matter. Okay. I know he's got green across him, doesn't matter. But now when I come to cut out, I can be a little bit mean when I get to the whiskers. I don't have to cut them out individually. I can actually snip them off. I know that sounds harsh and a bit mean to Mr. Hare or Mrs. Hare, because I don't know, anybody that's been to workshops have probably heard me talk about the hares we have up here. We have a fabulous family of them, and when it's baby season, we have quite a lot of amusement with them, because the mum and dad have this natural thing of drawing attention to themselves so that the dogs see them, and then they'll draw them away, and they do that with predators. They'll draw them away from the babies that are just sitting in the field. Then when I position him back, look, his whiskers are back. It's such an easy cheat for doing things like he does have fantastic whiskers, and that's why I didn't want to, because if I try and cut those out, they will never look as good. So you can just stamp it underneath and then add your hair to it. And again, I'm going to turn him over, apply my glue to the back, and pop him down. There he goes. And obviously I've got the one to follow. And then his whiskers and his spectacular eyelashes are back. So again, a similar kind of idea of this, but I like this style because it makes the stamps pop without having to do a huge amount of clever colouring or something, if you're not able to do that. So that's the stag and the hare. I hope you can't hear the rain. I've left music on downstairs for the dogs because Tonka's not great with thunder, and I thought and he can't get up the stairs here, and Paul's not back yet. So I thought if he's got music on, so he's just listened to my Spotify playlist. Goodness knows what he's listening to, because it is the adult version and not the radio version, shall we say. Right. Bear with me a moment. Throwing my glue on the floor. Have I missed any? Which one, Mo? They're cutting off the cutting off of the whiskers. Also works for antenna on butterflies. But he's just so cute, isn't he? And I say, we have such a fabulous relationship with hares up here. It is lovely. I do feel we are very honoured because we do see them an awful lot, which I think is not overly common. And they do proper make me laugh because they are hilarious, because they actually sometimes wait and they almost sort of bounce about so that the dogs see them, and then lure the dogs away from where the babies are. And I have accidentally found a baby before. It was just laying there. That's quite, and you know to just leave them alone. Right. Now, the next one we're going to do isn't actually going to go in my journal, my book there. It is going to be on a card, a piece of cream card. I wanted a cream card, but I couldn't find my big cream card. So this is actually an A5 card, A6 card blank. So I'm hoping to avoid the crease, but I do need to use a bit of it. Right, so we're going to come in with Mr. Foxy. And if Melissa's watching, I did call him a raccoon because I do think he's got a little bit of a raccoon face, which is what gave me the idea for the funny photo version. So this was the funny photo version, you know, where you're trying to get your passport photograph and you keep adjusting the seat, because I used to do this with our cute panda stamp. And I am tempted to do him in raccoon colours because I think it would work for that. And this here is the masking tape that from another project. This piece here, I actually, after I'd overstamped it as well, I stuck it onto a piece of sheet music and pulled it back, leaving a little sheet music behind. But you can just make out that beautiful bough of pine. It's raining cats and it's cats, dogs and elephants here, I think, from the sound of it. Right, so going to do Mr. Foxy. And I want to do a little bit of masking with him as well. So I do need just a bit of, where did I put my copy of paper? There it is. No, that's not copy of paper. That's the back of a paste paper. It'll do. So I'm sort of doing a multiple technique here. So we are going to ink up Mr. Fox. We are going to stamp him off to one side. He might go across the crease. If he goes, I'm thinking, what's that? It's really weird. There's a crumb behind. Yeah, that's typical of me. Always check the back of your stamps that you haven't encapsulated something behind there. Right, so I'm going to set it offset. So there is going to be a crease going through. I'm hoping it won't show up. But it will be a crease in the card, not in the stamp. So there he is. Isn't he just beautiful? And I want to stamp him on there as well. Doesn't need to be perfect. I just need to be able to chop him out. And again, I'm not worrying about his whiskery hair on this occasion. I am going to colour him in a minute, and what I love about this one is there's a lot of detail in there. So again, if you are not great at colouring, don't worry, because the stamp has got the detail for you. So I'm just going to do him very simply in some coloured pencils. So I've got a sort of a foxy colour here. Just introducing. I have also done him using the tea dye, distress ink and a bit of water, and just, you know, giving a little wash across just to give a hint of colour to him, and also adding a bit of yellow to his eyes. I couldn't remember what colour Fox's eyes were, but I felt they should be kind of yellowy colour. And the fox we have up here on the business park, who may have had a pigeon for tea last night, has the most amazing black tail. He's really dark coloured, and sometimes he'll sit in the solar field and just sort of look at you, and it's hilarious because the dogs don't see him, and he'll just sit there and sit there and sit there. And I've managed to get fairly close, and then he scarpers. So just adding a little bit of colour. So here I have got the crease. I don't think it's going to show up too much. So here we go. He's so straight on, and really, you almost feel like he's staring into your soul. So here we go. He is very handsome, isn't he? And I do, you know, I mean, I lost some chickens to a fox, but, you know, he's got to live, hasn't he? And the ones out here are fabulous because they're the sort of more rural ones, but he has a big bushy tail. Unfortunately, he does leave other stuff that the dogs kind of like, but we won't go into that. Anybody that's got a dog is well familiar with that. I've only got my orange, but just a little hint to his eyes, just because his eyes are such an important part of his face. Yeah, so there we go. We've got a very basic colouring in done. So I'm now going to mask across that. If you need to use a bit of masking tape to hold this in place, or stamp onto a post-it note or something like that, you can do. Now, but I'm actually going to tape down this side. The reason being, I'm going to do what's called out of the box die cutting. So I don't actually need any colour this side, so I can use that to hold this down. And now we're going to come in with some colour. So I'm going to come in with some forest moss. And when you've got a paper mask that has the potential to move, always come away from it. It will also help give a shadow and a darkness around your main image. It just means that you're not going to accidentally push into it, roll it up and interfere with. Also, line your mask up. That's bad lining up. That's awful lining up. Oh no, it's awful cutting out, I think. I haven't gone deep enough onto his head. There we go. That's better. So I'm just going to fill that in now. There we go. So just adding some colour. And again, I'm going to come in. I should really use a different... Oh, I know which one I'll use. This is the trouble when I get a stamp like this one that I just has so many uses. I kind of have to remind myself to use another stamp sometimes. And in the stag and hare, there are some lovely foliage. There's this beautiful fern and then a really lovely sprig. And I think that sprig would just make a really nice wreath. So I am going to stick with forest moss to begin with to give some interest in the background there. And again, this is one of those occasions where if your stamping is not perfect, it doesn't matter. We are just creating a pattern in the background. And also when you have got a mask, even if it is a paper one like this, I'm going to add a bit of colour there. Even if it is a paper one like this, it can still create a little halo around your image. Okay, so just be aware that when you're stamping, which is why if you add more colour from your inking, if you add more colour to the edge there, it doesn't matter if the stamped image fades off. Okay. Also, don't worry if this is looking really messy and undefined. That's the idea. I am going to also come in with more of that Adirondack colour because I do like this. This is lettuce if you want the Adirondack. This annoys me. We're so used to lids coming right off, and Adirondack are a much older ink pad. I don't know if this has got a year on it. No, I can't see a year, but they are, I mean, they're beautiful inks. You don't see them much now, and it might be because we have the distress inks and things like that, but they are a nice ink. They are a dye-based ink again. So right, so we've got our pattern paper, so to speak, and we've got our little foxy there. Right, I want to do out of the box die cutting, which basically means I want to cut it like that. Now, if I just put my die in my machine like that, what's going to happen? Mr. Fox is going to get his head cut in half. We don't want that. We want this part of him to be sticking out. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut out half of Mr. Foxy. Okay, so I'm going to go round his ear. I'm going to do his whiskers. So I can't cheat with his whiskers this time. So I am going to doesn't matter if he has a little bit of a haircut. Nobody's going to know, but you just want to have a little bit of it. So I just snip and just sort of take away the worst of the cream. You won't overly notice if there's little bits left. You can always colour them in if it is. And obviously when you're doing this at home, you can take your time. Unlike me, how am I doing? Oh, I'm doing all right. We might have time for another quick demo. Look at that. This is what happens when you plan. Okay. So now this is one of those techniques that is really hard to understand, really hard to explain. But actually when you do it, the first time you do it, you're like, oh, that. So we cut out the bit, just the bit that we want sticking out. Why did I do this with the fox and not the hair? Give him a little bit of a haircut there. So you're getting a bit of the idea of what it's going to look like. Right, so he's now sticking out of the card. Where he starts and stops, here, top and bottom, just cut a tiny little slot, okay? A tiny little slot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our die, we're going to pass him through so he's above the cutting blade and slide it into that little slot we've just cut. So on the back here, we want that. So on the back, it's going to look like this. Can you see that bit? Stop fiddling with it. Stop fiddling with it. So that bit is behind, so that's not going to cut. So we're not going to cut the fox off. He's safe from it, but we are going to cut all of this. Right, let me just have a swig of, got a fox hair. Right, Grand Caliber. Here he is. So get your cutting plate. Bring it up, and just before we do anything, just make sure that that is positioned. If you need to cut a little bit more of a slot there, so that your die is well in. Okay. that on the top. Notice this is the cleaner ground calibre because unfortunately my Old Faithful has gone to the big die cutter in the Sky, or the Biffa, after we took every bit out of it, including the spare handle. It's quite sad, all I've got is a handle down here. Right, I am going to go back the other way because this is fairly thick card. Okay. Right out. You're packing craft stash into boxes. Yeah, good luck with that. Right. Catch on the last part. Right, hang on. Right, I'll read those in a minute because I'm not particularly great at multitasking. Right, so see, this is coming away, but not that bit. He's safe. So now we just undo our die. Might give it a little bit of an ink around the edge with a bit of a darker colour. So trying to explain that technique, but watching it back, hopefully you'll see how easy it is. And because you've got to cut out this amount, I would only do it with your sort of fancy nestabilities or something like this torn paper die. I wouldn't do it with squares because you can just probably do it quite easily. It's a lot of effort for doing it with a square, if you know what I mean. Right, so what have we got? Brush corduroy. Let's add a little bit of dark to it. And this I don't need to mask off my fox, because he can have a little bit of dark around him as well to give him a little bit of shading. And also that's really handy for any bit when I was cutting out that isn't cut perfectly. By the way, I love inking this one because you get such a fabulous waste sheet underneath. So adding just a little bit of an extra highlight to there. And there's our little foxy out of the box die cutting. So we want him on a bit of craft paper. Again, I could stamp over it, and I might do, but I want to get it the right size first. So I need my acrylic block, pressing firmly down because I want to tear it, but I want to make sure I'm tearing it the right size. So if I use my acrylic block and press down, we're going to get that nice torn edge, but it's not going to exceed into where I want the space. So it means that I'm going to get a perfect sized panel, but still with that nice torn edge. So if I turn that so you can see I've got that nice torn edge there, and we might add a little bit of stamping to that because we can. And also I don't really want to go outside at the moment because I don't know if you can hear that, but it is a hammering down and I'm waiting for Paul to get back and we've got to empty the van. That's gonna be fun in the rain, although my garden will appreciate it. So let's do this fern again. And I'm really going quite subtle with this. I don't want it to be too busy and too overpowering. Let me move that up a bit. And also when you're doing things like this, just remember to do off the page as well, and rotating. It's very easy to get into a way of stamping and then everything's the same way. And if you walk into a wood, not everything's the same way. I'm going to add a little bit more colour to the edge there. I'm going to go back to my brush corduroy. Okay. There we go. Just I want a bit darker there. And again, look at the lines you get from underneath here. Rotating round. And so again, you could do the torn edge like I do to get this sort of rolled up, but I think on this one we've got enough interest going on. And there's our little Foxy going on there. Let's get him glued down. I'm looking at, oh, that was good timing. Sorry, we won't have more time, but it's fine because I've got next week and then I've got to film too, so I've got plenty to do for those. So next week is the last live for a couple of weeks because we're away and I don't know what the phone signal will be like. So I'm going to record 2 and schedule them to go up like we did last week. They won't be the full hour. They'll probably be sort of half an hour to 45 minutes. It's just they take a really long time to upload. And I just worry that it's going to crash and then I won't have anything. But next week will be live and I'll introduce you to some more sets of stamps. I'm not going to say too much. Which ones? I haven't 100% decided. I really like the potting bench, so I might play with that one. And we'll probably revisit these as well because they are such beautiful stamps. So there is our little out of the box die cut fox. I mean, he's just really striking. And doing him offset like that, it really again makes him pop. So let's have a quick recap of what we've done and then I will have a quick squiz and read some messages in case I've missed any. So where did we start? So we started with our very simple fox. Fox, wolf, you would do it. Then we've got our fabulous stag against the tartan. Then we've got our hare in the book page. And I just think in book page it looks really interesting. And it's an encyclopedia, so you don't need to worry too much. And then you've got your beautiful fox. So I've kept it all in a very sort of similar tone, but how beautiful are they? And you can see how easy these would be to mix them up to make them quite Christmassy. I had done this background here ready to do one of them in a sort of a bit more of a funky style. So I've gone quite traditional tonight. But the great thing is with rubber stamps is that you can do so much. You can alter them up so many different ways. So let me just have a quick squiz. Yeah, leave the radio on. Yeah, loves a bit of 80s. Possibly listening to Imagine Dragons downstairs, I should think. Jenny, that's more. You're more. Don't worry that you're late. We always catch up. Yeah, foxes. It'll be the cry of the vixen if you've heard a really loud. Our fox has a fab gold coat and white tip tail. Yeah, white's not quite, not unusual, but black. That's why the black really stood out to me. Bit late packing, yes. Get your Grand Caliber out of the cupboard. There is nothing, there's nothing wrong with them. They are fabulous. As long as it stops for the weekend. Oh yeah, it is Scarecrow Festival this weekend. I am mixed mediaing this weekend, so I can't go to Scarecrow Festival. But right, I think I'm just about caught up. So check out all these 4 stamps are on the website now. And they're in stock, ready to go out in the post straight away. I grabbed some stock so that I can send them straight out. I was going to say, we will be back next week with some more. So I'm teasing you with them, okay? So I'm not uploading them all in one go. So there'll be more next week. But you can see from these that they are just beautiful stamps, amazing artwork. So, you're not going to be disappointed. We have got some Christmas sets, 1 or 2, one which is very much me. We've also got the beautiful Save Our Seas set, which I will focus on. I think I'll focus on that one next week because it is beautiful. So in the meantime, I have to apologise. Somewhere along the line, I have lost my still that I put up at the end that says thanks for watching. Don't know where it's gone. So you're going to get the Crafty Club one. But on that note, you've still got time to sign up for September to join the Crafty Club. The workshop's already up, so you can watch that. There is some fabulous creations going on in there. The Crafty Club members are knocking it out the park. Also, October is up on the website, and it is going to, it's Hubble and Bubble. So it's going to be a bit more sort of apothecary and mystical, magical. But again, the techniques can be done in all sorts of different ways. So that's on the website as well. Or you can go for the year subscription, and you get 2 months for free with that. So in the meantime, stay dry. I will see you same time, same place next Wednesday. If you are free Sunday, I am running a Mixed Media Mayhem online workshop, which means I can get really, really messy up here. So if you're available, that's to book on the website as well. So, but in the meantime, get crafting, stay out of the rain, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. I say apologies for this, still is the only one I've got. Take care.